The night smelled of salt and rot. Amir tightened his jacket and stared out across the black water, the waves rolling slow and thick like oil under the dying moon. He had been fishing these waters for almost 20 years, first on rivers, then on lakes, and now here, where the river opened its mouth to the sea. It was his life, his only skill, and lately his only way to stay sane. The town had changed, people moved away, and the few who stayed avoided the docks after dark. But Amir didn't believe in the stories. Not until that night. It began quietly, the way bad things always do. His old boat, a dented aluminum skiff named Ramet, creaked as he set out past midnight. The engine coughed like an old smoker before catching, and the sound echoed off the mangroves. The river shimmered with moonlight, calm and inviting, and Amir felt that familiar peace settle into him, that feeling of being utterly alone with the dark, the cold, and the endless whisper of water. He dropped his first line near the river bend, where the current slowed. The float bobbed once, twice, and then steadied. No bites. He leaned back, lit a cigarette, and exhaled toward the stars. That's when he noticed it, a shape moving slowly near the far bank. At first, he thought it was a log, maybe a drifting branch carried downstream. But as it passed beneath the moonlight, he saw the faint outline of something else. It was long, sleek, and moving against the current. He squinted, then laughed at himself. Maybe a dolphin, he muttered, though he had never seen one this far inland. Still, the thought calmed him. He turned away and checked his lines again. The first bite came an hour later, heavy and sudden. The rod jerked hard, bending almost to the handle. Amir grabbed it, muscles straining as something massive pulled beneath the surface. "Got you," he hissed through gritted teeth. The line whined as the reel spun, the drag crying out. Whatever it was strong. Too strong. He adjusted the reel, his fingers trembling with excitement. Then came a sound he had never heard before, a deep, low hum, like metal vibrating underwater. The line went slack, and Amir nearly fell backward. He reeled in quickly, expecting a broken hook, but the line was clean, the bait untouched. The hum still lingered, faint and distant, fading into the night like a sigh. He looked around, scanning the water. Nothing, just ripples, and that slow-moving current. The night felt thicker now. He rubbed his eyes, telling himself he was tired. Maybe the sound came from the engine. He turned it off, listening. Silence, only the faint hiss of waves brushing against the hull. The air was colder now. Around 2 a.m., the fog rolled in. Thick, white, and slow-moving, it blanketed the water until Amir couldn't see more than a few feet ahead. The world shrank into a small circle of gray mist and trembling water. He decided to drift toward the sea, where the current met the open bay. Maybe the air would clear there. He started the engine and followed the soft push of the tide. The fog swallowed the sound almost instantly, making it feel as if he was moving through cotton. Then, through the fog, he saw lights, 3 of them, faint and low, floating above the water. He thought it was another boat, maybe fishermen like him. He slowed down and shouted, "Hello there." But no answer came. The lights moved closer, swaying gently, and he realized they weren't attached to any visible structure. Just orbs, softly pulsing like breathing lungs. His chest tightened. He blinked hard, once, twice. When he opened his eyes, the lights were gone. Amir's breathing grew shallow. He turned his engine back on and steered toward what he thought was the direction of shore. But the compass needle on the dashboard spun wildly, refusing to settle. The GPS screen flickered with static. "Not now," he muttered. "Please not now." He turned off the electronics and relied on instinct, the same instinct that had guided him through storms, floods, and dark river nights. But the fog made it useless. The sound of the waves changed. They weren't gentle anymore. They had rhythm, a slow pulse, like something massive moving beneath. A hollow thud struck the hull. Then another. Amir froze. Something was brushing against the bottom of the boat. He grabbed the lantern, leaned over the edge, and peered into the murk. The water below was black, almost solid-looking. Then a shape drifted past, pale and bloated, its surface rippling like flesh. He jerked back, heart pounding. For a second, he thought it was a dead fish. But then it turned slightly, revealing the faint impression of a face. Not human, not quite. The eyes were small, glassy, and too far apart, the mouth stretched into something that looked like a grin. It vanished as quickly as it appeared. Amir's pulse hammered in his ears. He sat still, gripping the edge of the seat, trying to breathe. The boat rocked slowly, then stopped. The water around him went dead silent. No ripples, no current, no sound. He realized that even the insects along the shore had stopped. Everything was listening. The next sound came from directly below him, 3 sharp knocks, like someone tapping on the bottom of the boat from underneath. He screamed and stumbled backward, nearly tipping the lantern. The knocks came again, louder this time, then a long dragging sound, like nails scraping along the metal hull. He couldn't take it. He yanked the ignition and gunned the engine. The propeller screamed as he tore through the fog, his hands shaking so hard the wheel almost slipped from his grip. He didn't know how long he drove, maybe minutes, maybe hours. When the fog finally thinned, he found himself far from shore, where the river opened wide into the sea. The horizon was empty, black except for a faint strip of dawn trying to rise. His gas gauge was low. He sighed, relief washing through him, though fear still pulsed deep in his bones. "It's over," he whispered. "It's just me." Then something hit the engine. Hard. The boat lurched violently to one side. He killed the motor instinctively and leaned over the edge. The water below churned in a perfect circle, as if boiling. Then, slowly, a hand, pale, long-fingered, webbed, reached up and touched the side of the boat. Amir stumbled back, heart exploding in his chest. The hand gripped the edge, pulling. And then he saw it, a head rising from the water, followed by shoulders that weren't quite human. The creature's skin was the color of the moon, slick and veined, with black eyes that seemed to drink in every bit of light. It didn't move like a person. Its joints bent wrong, its mouth too wide. It opened that mouth and made a sound like air escaping a drowning throat. Amir screamed and grabbed the oar, swinging with all his strength. The blow connected. The creature shrieked, not in pain, but in something like anger. Then it lunged, dragging its claws across the hull. Amir hit again and again until the thing slipped back beneath the water, leaving behind a swirl of dark liquid that wasn't quite blood. He started the engine again, desperate to flee, but it sputtered and died. The fog returned, thicker now, closing around him like hands. He fumbled for the radio. Static. Then, a whisper, soft, but clear. His name. Amir, drawn out, rising and falling like a tide. He dropped the mic and looked around wildly. The fog shifted, and through it, he saw the faint outline of boats, dozens of them, drifting silently. Old boats, half sunk, their decks broken and rusted. Some still had fishing nets tangled in their rails. And inside those nets, bodies. Or what was left of them. Faces bloated, eyes missing, mouths open as if still gasping for air. Amir's mind cracked. He began to laugh, a broken, hopeless sound. "It's not real," he muttered. "It's the fog. It's just the fog." But as he spoke, one of the boats drifted closer, its hull scraping against his. The deck was covered in seaweed and rot. Something moved inside the cabin, slow, deliberate. Amir froze as a figure stepped into view. It looked like a man, dressed in a torn fishing jacket, but its skin was gray-blue, its eyes black holes. The figure raised its hand, and Amir saw that it held his own lantern, the one he had dropped minutes ago. Then the voice came again. "You shouldn't have come this far." The figure's mouth never moved, yet the words echoed around him, inside him, like his own thoughts turned against him. He tried to move, to scream, but his body wouldn't listen. The figure tilted its head, then pointed toward the water. Amir's gaze followed, and he saw the surface alive with movement. Hands, hundreds of them, reaching up from below. Pale hands, clawing at the air, pulling at the sides of his boat. The metal groaned under the strain. One hand caught his ankle. Cold, wet, unyielding. Amir screamed and kicked, but another grabbed his wrist, then another. The lantern fell, shattering, the flame snuffed instantly. Darkness swallowed everything. He fell into the water. The shock stole his breath. The world spun, bubbles and blackness and cold all blending into one. He thrashed, trying to find the surface, but something wrapped around his leg, a rope, a net, something pulling him down. He opened his eyes and saw faces in the dark, drifting beside him, mouths moving silently. He struggled harder, lungs burning. The faces grew clearer. Some were men he knew. Fishermen from town who had vanished years ago. Their eyes were open but empty, their skin gray and smooth as stone. One reached out, touched his cheek, and whispered without sound. The last thing Amir saw was light, not from above, but from below. A pale, greenish glow that pulsed like a heartbeat. And within that light, a shape, vast, endless, moving slow beneath the water. It looked like a body, or maybe the sea itself, breathing. The pressure crushed his chest. His scream never made it out. Days later, the Coast Guard found his boat drifting empty near the mouth of the river. The hull was dented, the nets torn. Inside, they found only his cap, soaked with seawater and something darker. The locals said the fog took him. Some said the sea did. But the old fishermen, the ones who still fished the river, claimed they could hear him sometimes, on nights when the fog rolled in thick. A voice calling from somewhere deep below, whispering the same warning to anyone who listened. You shouldn't have come this far.